will there be any excuses after May 2nd for either fighter, for Mayweather or for your fighter?
There shouldn't be. I mean, the best man will win, and we'll go from there.
Why do you believe that he would be the future of the sport?
Errol Spence?
Yeah.
Well, I saw him. I got into in Broner at the Olympic Training Center, and I was there, and it really happened. So, but the thing is, Errol's a good fighter. He got a really good, he's southpaw, got a very good hook. He's going to be something to deal with.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, I tell you on this channel all the time, one of the most dangerous weapons in the world can be a microphone and a camera, especially when you're talking about someone who is not consistent with what they say. You know, when it comes to people like me, the microphone is my ally, because I could always go back and show you a video that I did a year ago, 6 months ago, to prove to anyone that I have been consistent with speaking the whole truth. Now, with that out the way, let's go ahead and get into the news. Now, you guys already seen the clip and you heard what Freddie Roach said about Errol Spence previously, before Errol Spence annihilated Chris Algieri. Let's hear what he had to say about Errol Spence now, or today I should say. Matter of fact, before I even read what he had to say, let me go ahead and read what Errol Spence had to actually say about Manny Pacquiao, in contrast to how Manny Pacquiao dealt with Chris Algieri. This is what Errol Spence had to say. Quote, "It goes back to what my coach said. Manny Pacquiao is a hard puncher. He's quick, but he lacks fundamentals. And that's what I'm big on, fundamentals. I can cut off the ring. I can vary up my punches. Manny Pacquiao, he can't cut off the ring, as you've seen with Floyd and as you've seen with Algieri. When Chris Algieri got hurt with Pacquiao, he was able to move and recover. When I had Algieri hurt, I didn't allow him to do that." End quote. Now, before I get into Freddie Roach's response to what Errol Spence said, I just want to say that when you listen to how Errol Spence just broke that down, you can see the level of intelligence that we are dealing with. This man is extremely intelligent. Listen to what he said. And I know decafs, they will not understand this because they're just basing things off of emotion, who they like and who they don't like. But from the perspective of a boxer, you know what I mean, who's been in the ring, and you know, me myself, not just because I've boxed a little bit as an amateur and I've trained my son, who is, yeah, a 4-time national state champion, but not only for that reason, but just because I'm looking at things from a logical standpoint. You don't necessarily have to be a boxer to know these kind of things. You just have to be able to look at the sweet science without being clouded with emotion. So let's just break down what Errol Spence said. Because see, this is funny, because when I did my post-fight video, I believe I talked about this. I said, you know, when it comes to Manny Pacquiao, he's very athletic, but he just relies on his left hand. He doesn't really have an inside game, right? He's not a body puncher, not really. All Manny Pacquiao wants to do is land the left hand, okay? And if you listen to what Errol Spence said, what was great about what Errol Spence said is he didn't say anything personal about Manny Pacquiao. Everything that he said had something to do with Manny Pacquiao's boxing skill compared to his. But when I read what Freddie Roach said about Errol Spence, what you'll notice is what he said, it was more personal. It really didn't have anything or a whole lot to do with boxing. It was very vague with no substance. It's not like he said, well, you know, Errol Spence, he needs to work on this, you know, his foot movement, and, you know, he's out of position. He didn't say anything like that. What he said was very, very casual, like something a casual fan would say about a certain fighter, right? Anyway, like I said, I'll get into what Freddie Roach said in a minute. But like I said, when I was talking about Manny Pacquiao only relying on his left hand, if you once again listen to what Errol Spence said in this little interview that he did, He basically said what I said, but he went into deeper detail. Let me highlight some of the things that he said once again. He said, I can cut off the ring. I can vary up my punches. This is what I've been telling people since Errol Spence knocked out Chris Algieri. I've been telling a lot of people, I've been talking boxing, what I said, the difference with Errol Spence is, see, with Manny Pacquiao, he is relying on the left hand. He's trying to hurt you with nothing but the left hand. He comes in with the jab, he uses these stutter steps so he can set you up with his bread and butter, the left hand. But the difference from Errol Spence, and this is what I've been telling people, Errol Spence is a left-hander just like Manny Pacquiao. But with Errol Spence, he can hurt you with an uppercut. He can hurt you with a hook to the body. He can hurt you with a jab. He can hurt you with many different weapons and tools, right? I mean, his straight left hand is just extra on top of all the other skills that he possesses. That is the difference from an Errol Spence and a Manny Pacquiao, and that's exactly what he said. That's what he meant when he said, I can vary up my punches. Manny Pacquiao is relying on the left hand to hurt you. If you go back and you look at almost all of Manny Pacquiao's knockdowns, or when he staggered and hurt someone, 90% of the time it was with the left hand. That's not the case with Errol Spence. Like I said, Errol Spence, he hurts you with uppercuts. He hurts you with hooks to the body. He hurts you with the left hand. He hurts you with the right hand. And once again, Errol Spence just explained why he was able to get Chris Algieri out of there. Because he cut off the ring. He did not allow Chris Algieri to just dance around the ring. That is what Manny Pacquiao allowed Chris Algieri to do. How do you have as much experience as you do, right? As Manny Pacquiao does. And you knock someone down 6 times. And out of those 6 times, there was a couple times where he really hurt Algieri. How do you not have the experience to find a way to close the deal? How is that possible? Now, I know a lot of fans, or a lot of Manny Pacquiao fans, they'll try to use the excuse. They'll try to say, oh, well, he's old now. And first of all, you can't even use that excuse because we all know that Manny Pacquiao, he looked fantastic against Tim Bradley, right? And even before he looked fantastic against Tim Bradley, the whole thing is boxing is a very emotionally attached sport. And when fans see their favorite fighter not delivering the way he's supposed to or the way they want him to, they have to come up with some excuse. And when it comes to Manny Pacquiao, they love to pull the age card. Oh, he's past his prime, etc., etc. He's this and he's that. But in all reality, if you go back and you watch Manny Pacquiao 3 years ago, you'll see him doing the exact same stutter step. You'll see him throwing the exact same lightning rod type of left hand. You'll see the exact same type of speed. There is nothing different. The only thing that looks different, or the only time Manny Pacquiao looks different, I should say, is when he's in the ring with the most difficult style in boxing, which is a thinker, a boxer, a counterpuncher. Of course you're going to look different when you're in there with someone who's intelligent, because they're forcing you to think. And you know that if you do something stupid, they're going to counter you and you could possibly get knocked out. All right? So that's just common sense. Whenever a fighter is in there with a thinker, you're not going to throw as many punches, especially not a brawler, right? Because if he does, he will most likely get knocked out. Julio Cesar Chavez was a volume puncher. But when he fought against Pernell Whitaker, he wasn't a volume puncher that night. Why? Because he was forced to think. Okay? So once again, going back to this age excuse that they try to use, that's null and void. We know that you can't use that excuse. When someone is old, you can see a difference. Okay? Let's take Mike Tyson, for example. When you watch vintage Mike Tyson, you watch him knocking out Trevor Berbick. You watch him knocking out Larry Holmes. And then you compare that Mike Tyson to the Mike Tyson that was fighting against Franz Botha or fighting against Lennox Lewis, you can visibly see a big difference. You can see the lack of reflexes. You can see the lack of combinations that were thrown before against the same type of opponent, right? When it comes to Muhammad Ali, for example, you watch Muhammad Ali against Joe Frazier, and then you watch Muhammad Ali against Larry Holmes, you could see the difference. As a matter of fact, a better example or comparison, watch Muhammad Ali laying on the ropes against George Foreman. But then watch him laying on the ropes against Larry Holmes. It's a complete different type of Muhammad Ali. But when it comes to Manny Pacquiao, we see the same speed. We see the same type of left hand. We see the quick combinations once he gets you in position, right? In the position that he wants to get you in. For example, I was just watching a little bit of the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight when I was working out the other day just to take some notes. And I noticed when Manny Pacquiao caught Floyd Mayweather with that left hand in the 4th round and he kind of rocked Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, he came out with guns blazing. The right hand, the left hand. He looked like a Tasmanian devil all over Floyd Mayweather. Okay? That is the same Manny Pacquiao. Why do you think, once again, when Manny Pacquiao beat Tim Bradley, all of a sudden you hear people saying, oh, that's the vintage Manny Pacquiao. That's the best Pacquiao. He is so good, etc., etc. They are saying that because there is no difference. Only difference is a number, right? That's the only difference, is age. And boxing is just like life. Depending on how you take care of your body, that depends on how well you age, right? It's the same thing in the sport of boxing. Aging in the sport of boxing, it depends on how well you take care of your body. It also depends on how much damage you take in the sport of boxing, right? We've seen some fighters like Fernando Vargas, you know, his career was done, you know, in his late 20s, right? And then you have someone like Bernard Hopkins, who of course was dominant, beating guys 20 years younger than him at age 50 damn near. Okay, and you have Floyd Mayweather, a fighter who was dominating bigger, stronger, much younger opponents at age 38. How many fighters do you guys know in the history of boxing that was dominating any elite fighters at 38? Not too many, right? So anyway, going back to Manny Pacquiao and what Errol Spence said about him, like Errol Spence broke down, Manny Pacquiao, he lacks fundamentals, okay? He does not cut off the ring, and that is clear. That's what we've seen in the Errol Spence fight. Once again, there is no reason why someone with the skill set of Manny Pacquiao, by Manny Pacquiao's fans' own admission, he looked vintage against Tim Bradley. So how does a vintage Tim Bradley knock someone down 6 times and still can't get him out of there? And the answer is simple. Matter of fact, Errol Spence gave you the answer. Because Manny Pacquiao does not cut off the ring. And he does not fight on the inside. All right? That's the difference from Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence. We also seen a lack of Manny Pacquiao cutting off the ring against Floyd Mayweather. Why do you think it was so easy for Floyd Mayweather to catch Manny Pacquiao coming straight in, and all Floyd Mayweather would have to do is hit him with a check left hook and pivot to the left and be out of there? Just like a bull in a matador. Why was it so easy for Floyd to do that? Because Manny Pacquiao does not cut off the ring. So, you know, when it comes to speaking this whole truth, you could hate it, but you guys know logically what I'm saying is true. It makes sense. There's nothing I'm saying that you can disagree with, because I can show you the footage to prove everything that I'm telling you guys right now. All right? Like I told you guys on many of my videos, love without truth is hypocrisy. And truth without love is brutality. That means the truth hurts. Obviously, right? Now let me go ahead and get into what Freddie Roach had to say in response to what Errol Spence said. By the way, this video was supposed to be a real quick video, but you know this shit is just like boxing. Once you see a cat leaving himself wide open, you just gonna keep going for the openings, right? Because it's so easy. And that's how it is for me right now. It's just so easy to put out that whole truth. That's what the new media is all about. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into what Freddie Roach had to say in response to Errol Spence. Quote, Errol Spence is a good fighter. I met him in the Olympic Training Center. He was one of the best fighters on the 2012 Olympic team. He looked good against Chris Algieri the other night, but he can't carry Manny Pacquiao's bags. Manny's getting older. He's retired now, and Errol's up and coming. He might have a little youth on Manny. Manny has a lot of experience, and he has to just get in line. Fight a real fight first, and then you could show me something. Fight Kell Brook and show me something. End quote. Now, I think it's interesting when Freddie Roach says, you know, fight a real fighter. It's kind of hypocritical, because if you're saying that Chris Algieri wasn't a real fighter, then how come Manny Pacquiao couldn't knock out someone who wasn't even a real fighter? You see how that sounds, guys? Now look I will say this. You can tell by what Freddie Roach said, he was trying to balance things out. He was trying to give Errol Spence credit, but yet at the same time, it was like somewhat of a backhand compliment. I think it was more of an emotional type of response when Freddie Roach said that Errol Spence, he can't carry Manny Pacquiao's bags. From the clip that I played you guys, it clearly proves that Freddie Roach, he holds Errol Spence in high regards. But he had to say something to try to defend his fighter Manny Pacquiao, because he took that as a hit and dig at him as well when Errol Spence said that Manny Pacquiao, he lacks fundamentals and he can't cut off the ring. Now, the irony of Errol Spence even saying that is I actually remember, and I may or may not add the clip on here to this video, but now as I think about it, I remember sitting down with Freddie Roach before one of Manny Pacquiao's fights, and I remember asking Freddie Roach the question, you know, does Manny Pacquiao, I don't remember how I worded it, but I basically asked him, you know, about Manny Pacquiao having problems with fighters that move around the ring, and does he have a problem cutting off the ring? And I remember Freddie Roach said, yeah, you know, he has somewhat of a problem, and I tell him all the time he needs to start cutting off the ring better. He says something on the lines of that. So basically, he corroborated with what Errol Spence said about his own fighter. And once again, you know, I think he took it personal, because, yeah, if you're talking about Manny Pacquiao lacking fundamentals, then you're talking about Manny Pacquiao and you're talking about his trainer. But once again, what Errol Spence said, it made all the sense in the world. Now, you Manny Pacquiao fans, you could get upset all you want, but I'm talking boxing, okay? And these are things that boxers who have been in the ring, trainers who have trained for years and years, these are things that they look at, okay? They're not looking at how much you like someone and how much you don't like them. They're looking at the actual sweet science, all right? So overall, once again, I believe that Freddie Roach, he knows how good Errol Spence is. He already told me and the rest of the public how good Errol Spence is, okay? So that's pretty much all I got. We'll see what happens. You know, he talked about Errol Spence needing to fight against Kell Brook. What he really should have said is Kell Brook needs to fight Errol Spence, because we already know Errol Spence, he can't wait to get Kell Brook in the ring. I mean, let's not forget, if it was up to Errol Spence, he would have already fought Kell Brook and Keith Thurman by now, right? And Canelo Alvarez, because he done called them all out. Say whatever you want to say of who you think will win, but the bottom line is, this man, Errol Spence, he wants to fight the best. And that's what makes him so special. On top of all of the skill that he possesses, he has the confidence to go with it. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Hi, you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Woo! Hey.
Yeah.